So I'm responding to a request to say a little bit more about the Russian gay propaganda law, which I said was based on Thatcher's Clause 28. The law is defined by Putin in 2013, June 2013, was to protect children from information that was not promoting a traditional family value. And it became a law which initially involved a small fine, then it involved a threat of deportation and imprisonment, and the fine has got significantly bigger. This is what I said about it in 2019.
When something is wrong, we really have to stand up and say so. The other day, a fellow called Maxim Pankratov went into hiding. He'd been involved in a YouTube video where he answered questions about what it was like to be gay, very simple questions. He answered some children. And the producer of that YouTube video has fled the country. Where there were once fines, now there are threats of prison sentences. This law is being ramped up in a most egregious fashion. In the Duma, the Russian parliament, there's a man called Peter Tolstoy. He's actually a descendant of the poet and novelist Tolstoy. But what a strange man this one is. A couple of years ago, he claimed that there was a Jewish conspiracy to desecrate Russian churches. Complete nonsense. And now he's on to this particular law. This Tolstoy is so different to the novelist, his forebear, where the novelist was an environmentalist and was in favour of liberalism and free speech. This Peter Tolstoy is absolutely opposed to both. This law seems to me to be fundamentally wrong, and the attack on Maxim and on Victoria seems to me to be fundamentally wrong. And it would be wrong of us to stay quiet. I would really like to see Russia revise this law or repeal it. That would be the right thing to do at this moment. If there's a bad law, wherever it is, we need to call it out before more people get hurt. I just think we should be aware that this law exists, be aware that people are now seriously threatened, and try in whatever small way we can to lend support to Maxim and to Victoria, because they definitely need that at the moment.
And since 2019, this has got much, much worse. And the law has been made significantly tougher by two individuals, Alexander Kinstein and Nina Ostanina. And they put forward two bills to toughen up these laws and make them more universal. The first, to ban information that denies family values, and the second, to deny the propaganda of non-traditional sexual relations. And these, this is vaguely what Putin is talking about so much, about the promotion of traditional values. And the second bill by Knitstein was to develop the initial 2013 law and bar gay propaganda that effectively targets or that allegedly targets children, to forbid the promotion regardless of any age. And in practice, this means fines, people being arrested for publicly saying anything that could be construed as positive about LGBTQ plus communities. LGBTQ plus events would be completely banned, not only pride marches, which haven't actually been held in Russia for years, but also screenings of films and exhibitions, and indeed books would be censored. So certain books would not be available. Books by Oscar Wilde, for example, would be banned, and so on. And the first transgender politician, Yulia Alyoshina, quit politics. She said that she has never been involved in such propaganda, but she had no idea how to continue to conduct public political activity being an open transgender woman. And Kinstein singled out Peppa Pig as a tool of hybrid war. I was involved in some of this conversation because there was a discussion about Masha and the bear at one point, and Russia said that Peppa Pig was normalizing same-sex relationships with the polar bears, and with the annexation of Ukraine and the Crimea, Putin remodeled his aggression in terms of the dictatorship of the Western elites, the Satanism of the LGBT community. Do we really want, he said, here in our country, in Russia, instead of mum and dad, to have parent number one, parent number two, parent number three? Have we gone completely insane? And he would promote this idea with a number of anti-Western speeches, a distraction, really. So this law was being pushed so that Russia was discussing this rather than the aggression in Ukraine. And of course, this was then picked up by the patriarch of Moscow, Kirill, who then sees the whole thing in terms of a crusade of the good Orthodox Russian tradition against the Catholic perversion of traditional values. And in 2017, there was a purge in the Southern Republic of Chechnya, in which hundreds of gay men were rounded up and tortured at secret facilities. And across Russia, many gay Russians have endured discrimination. They've lost their jobs. They've been assaulted, blackmailed, robbed, humiliated by gangs. The law has been used to target NGOs, advocacy groups like Children 404, which support gay teenagers. These laws, both existed and proposed, have certainly affected LGBT plus persons across Russian society as a whole. And this, coupled with the censorship, which has been ongoing for a good 10 years, right down to the censorship of things in the in the Marvel series, in the 2013 live-action version of Beauty and the Beast, because there was a gay character in that, and so on. Works by the great Russian authors like Fyodor Dostoevsky, where there are gay themes. These have been quietly censored. This is a war on popular culture, whether it's Russian or whether it's international, and it's designed to squash. So yes, on the one hand, in Britain, our distraction is the migrants and the small boats. In Russia, it's gay people, and it's appalling in both cases. But the fact that we in the UK provided the prototype with Clause 28 is, I think, a mark of permanent shame, and we should recognise that mark, and we should do our very best to put out an alternative message, an alternative to all this anti-gay propaganda that Putin is